All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. In today's video, I'm talking about housing supply in 2024. I think it's an interesting topic. I think it's an important topic. I think it might well be the most important topic for buyers and sellers of real estate in 2024. So I'm going to get into some stuff that I looked at when I was researching housing supply and talk about some of the stuff that there is being talked about nationally in terms of housing supply. I'm going to talk about some stuff locally here in Sacramento, California. The favor I ask of people who join this live or watch it on replay is, please, I want more than anything your 2 cents. You're free to put, 5 cents or 10 cents in if you'd like as well. Where are you at in the country? What are you experiencing? What do you see? And you don't have to be a real estate expert to say, you know what, I'm seeing a lot more homes for sale than I used to see last year or the year before. Or it seems like they're building like crazy in this neighborhood, right? And the boots on the ground experience is really what I do more than I dig into stats and whatnot. I go to stats to confirm what I'm seeing and see if it's just the fact that I'm looking for something and seeing it, or if it's a true, trend. And before I go into the stuff that I saw nationally and stuff that we've all heard before and read about as far as inventory goes, people seem to forget that there's just a huge shortage of inventory. Not because a lot of people bought in 20 and 21, they bought everything up, right? It's the fact that from 2007 to 2023, the number of new units built, call that post housing crash, was way below what the market needed. That number nationally is something like 765,000 units over that 16-year period. And it's just not enough, right? And so last year, 2023, multifamily completions went up by 11%, and single family, what most of us are looking at, single family homes, finished 2023 strong with an 8.4% jump in completions. That means the house is done. It's completed. It's ready to sell. that got up to 1.056 million units, which is more in line of what we need, but we can't undo 16 years of underbuilding with one good year of, hey, we built 1 million new homes this year. And so another thing to think about is when you look at some of these quote unquote doomers talking about, oh my gosh, tons of new inventory, 7.7% growth in inventory in the southern US in December. This is a video I watched today. One thing you got to keep in mind is that, like, we need more inventory. So we need 7.7% growth. And two, when you throw out big stats like 1 million new homes are going to be built this year, so there's going to be a ton of inventory. 1 million is like the bare minimum of what we need to even keep up with demand, let alone have a glut of inventory or too much inventory. So I'll jump into some more stuff that I found here on the interwebs after I say hello to my good friend, Mr. Ryan Lundquist, Sacramento Appraisal Blog. I just happened to have something that he put out on his Instagram today. So Sac Appraiser on Instagram, SacramentoAppraisalBlog.com is the blog. But this is at least promising that we're moving in the right direction. It might be hard to see on the screen, but what I'm looking at is the Sacramento region where I currently reside and have, what's the past tense of reside? Resided? I'm a math guy. I'm not an English guy, just for the record. Here is new monthly listings. The black line represents every month in 2023. The red line, since we're only 1 month into 2024, represents 2024. And as of 2 days ago, I believe it was the 27th, we had already surpassed inventory, new monthly listings in the month of January had surpassed 2023 numbers. So as you see here, and as Ryan has stated, we're probably going to end up with 10 to 15% more listings in our area than we had this month last year. I'd love to hear from you. What do you see in your area? You might not know the numbers, or you might not have cool graphs and do the research like my buddy Ryan Lundquist, but I believe it's a trend, and it's a needed trend across the country to start seeing more sellers list. I wonder what would happen if I play this. I don't think this
trend, but let me show you Sacramento. The red bar over there is January 2024, the number of new listings compared to the bar next to it, January 2023. And today we crossed over where we were 1 year ago. And I think by the end of the month, we'll have about 10 to 15% more new listings compared to 1 year. Some people think that there's this huge wave of listings hitting the market like this, but that's actually not true. And this is more an accurate picture.
I like this graphic, right? Like, sellers are finally listing. Here's the sellers that are listing aren't here, but there's still a ton of sellers that are staying put. I was at a comedy show Friday night, and the comedian, it's always funny to hear the take of, the average person from the outside looking in to the real estate market. Because I'm around people that are just all in all day, every day to real estate. And they've got their opinions on real estate. Then you've got the Crash brothers who have their opinions on real estate. But just, an outside perspective and maybe used for some comedic relief. He said, if you guys, haven't looked at housing or looked at what that's doing, there is this new thing going on where everybody played musical chairs in 2020 and 2021, and they were moving up. They were buying new houses, and all this action was going on, which he's right, 7 million sales or something. Then the music stopped, and wherever you sat, that's where you're going to live for the rest of your life. So I probably didn't do the joke as well as a comedian did on Friday night, but it's a sad but true reality for a lot of people, where the move up, move down, move sideways, move it all is a lot harder than it was in 2021. Still not impossible. There's still plenty of people buying. BuzzTune, thanks for joining. I appreciate you. As you join, fire away your questions, please. The best live streams, we cover topics and questions and things that I don't even think about to talk about. But if you've got questions, it's likely that others have the same questions. So fire them away. Happy to answer them. Hey, Matt, what is the standard in lending? If appraisal comes in low, the buyer has to pay more for the difference, or the appraisal comes in low and buyer signs an LOE saying they're okay with low appraisal. This is a good question. And we happen to have Ryan Lundquist on here, who's an appraiser, who can throw in his 2 cents as well. But I'll tell you this, BuzzTune, more often than not, and with good agents in place, this is all stuff that is talked about and put into the real estate contract before it becomes an issue. Meaning, there's a place that a great agent friend of mine put on the market. It's got a lot of action. It's in a great neighborhood and it's a nice house. Listed at $799. People are writing offers. She's already got 3 or 4 in hand, expects more on the way. If it doesn't appraise, it's addressed in the contract that's written and agreed upon up front. Buyer willing to pay up to $20,000 above appraised value. Buyer, willing to waive the appraisal contingency, meaning they'll pay any value above the appraised value. Or if that stuff is not put in the contract, which in some markets and in some cases it won't be, it basically opens up negotiations. So in lending, we're not necessarily, concerned with or going to have a standard. I think there's a question like, what's the standard in lending? If it comes in low, and let's just say, for example purposes, you are buying something for $500,000 and you're putting 10% down. So you're approved, $500,000 purchase, $450,000 loan amount. If it appraises at $490,000, now you run into something where for those same terms that you were getting with 10% down at $490,000, the loan to value is no longer 90% if you're trying to borrow $450,000. So you're either going to have to go to a $441,000 loan amount and put an extra $9,000 down, or renegotiate. Maybe the seller says, we're willing to sell it to you at $495,000. But whatever the case, it opens up negotiations and you have to work that out. The appraisal comes in low and buyer signs an LOE. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of cases where you agree to pay a price and what it appraises at doesn't necessarily affect or come into play. You just have to rework the numbers for the loan. Hopefully I answered that halfway decent. Here's a good question from Mr. Ryan Lundquist. What are you seeing with concessions right now? Are buyers getting more, nothing, the same? Much less in the way of concessions is the short answer, Ryan. As we saw at Q4 last year, buyers could ask for all kinds of concessions. They could ask for 10, 15, 20,000 in credit to pay for closing costs, to fund a 2-1 buy down. They could offer below list price. Now it just is more competitive. That's the easiest way to put it. And so if you list your home at $500,000 and you've got 3 or 4 offers, all between 510 and 520, you don't necessarily have to give concessions. Before, sellers were like listing in the MLS, seller willing to give $10,000 towards rate buy down or whatever. They were trying to sell their house. They were in a position where they were trying to offer something because they needed to. Now it feels much different. And quite honestly, buyers have already gotten used to, most of the ones that I'm talking to, via conversations with us, conversations with a great real estate agent. If you want this house, we're going to have to offer $515,000. We're not going to be able to get any credits. It takes what it takes to get the offer accepted. The most competitive stuff at the most competitive price points. I'm still talking to buyers about getting 3,000, 4,000, whatever it takes to do a 1.0 buy down. That's still a popular product, and it helps buyers in a market where they're still, wrestling with affordability. But those 5-figure concessions of the past, Ryan, I'm really just not seeing them much at all. Really, honestly, seeing concessions all but disappear, at least at the entry level and competitive price points. Maybe something's on the market for 36 days and it's 1.2 million. You can offer 1.2 with 20,000 in credit and use that to structure your mortgage. But, at the $500,000 price point, that stuff's going quick. I was at an open house in, I think it was 95831 in Pocket. And in that immediate area, like a whole zip code, there's only 8 houses for sale, right? If you've got one of those 8 houses for sale, you don't have to give it away. You're going to have more than enough action on those. And then, the 95818 Land Park open that a agent partner of mine was holding open, 60 plus people came through there, 3 offers up to 50,000 above the list price, cash offer, making threats of coming in. It's wild, and it's only January. So it's a whole new world for buyers, and concessions are. What's up, Mr. Joey Garessi? Is OKC still number 1 in the West? Man, they're looking good, but they lost to Detroit, man. What is going on? Just a quick little basketball. Hope all's well, Mr. Gressy. Thanks for joining. Kevin Hawthorne, all the way from Florida. Moved it to 5 o'clock on you, brother, my time. So it's 8 o'clock out there. I appreciate you joining. Late night. I got to figure out a new time. Starting next week, I'm coaching elementary school basketball. And so I've got Monday practices, Wednesday games. I don't know when the heck we're going to do this. While I've got a handful of you guys live, let me know. I don't know what day yet, but 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What if I did it like at noon? People can watch this and can we talk shop during lunch? Does lunchtime work? I don't know. I'm just out here winging it, man. Literally for a decade on YouTube, just winging it. Just having fun, talking to whatever friends decide to show up. All right, Joey. Now you're slanging credit card stuff. The Built Rewards program, no annual fee credit card unless you get points for paying rent, is working on a way to offer points for making mortgage payments with the card. That would be interesting. Except for that, man, is that kind of scary? People paying their mortgage on a credit card? Sounds scary to me. I don't know. Maybe you can convince me otherwise, Mr. Garrett. I guess if I paid mortgages on all my properties, including rental properties, on this Built Rewards program, that would be kind of cool. That would be a lot. 6 mortgages on a credit card, I'd be getting a lot of rewards. I could be doing some things. Keep me updated on that, Mr. Gressy, please. Great question right here. Love for puppies. I appreciate this question because I think you are not the only one that is going to ask it. I had a conversation with a bunch of loan officers and real estate agents just yesterday. Max seller concessions. If you're doing an FHA loan, you can get up to 6% in seller concessions. The problem is you can't always use that much in seller concessions because it can't go towards down payment. It can only go towards a rate buy down, closing costs, and true costs. So just to give that some context real quick on an FHA loan, $500,000 purchase, 3.5% down FHA. Quick math, man, it's Monday. 17,500. Is that right? 3.5? Yeah. 17.5. That's your minimum contribution. You have to bring that down payment. You can't have concession pay for that. But if you get 6% credit, you got 30,000 in credit to use up. You probably only have 10,000 in prepaid property taxes, homeowners insurance, title fees, the fees part of it. So now you got to use the other 20. You got to either do a 2-1 buy down, a 3-2-1 buy down, permanent buy down. It's going to be hard to use all of that credit, but 6% is the number. That's the max for FHA. If you're conventional and you're 20% down, you can also do 6%. Where you run into not being able to do that much is when you've got a smaller down payment. And I believe it's up to 3% if you're putting less than 10% down. Once you get to 10%, I think it unlocks the 6. I literally just made a video on this, and it's been a busy Monday. I've had 47 conversations today, but conventional, you're able to put that 6% seller concession on there. Again, if you can use it all. You usually can't. Mr. Alan Blount, how the heck are you doing, brother? Good to see you joining live. I appreciate you joining, showing your support. Let me know what questions you got, man. What do you want to know about real estate? What do you want to know about mortgage? I'm here for the people. And, you know, in a year like 2024, people have questions. I've got answers. And to that point, you know, quick note, when I was looking at housing supply nationwide, I was looking at different views. I'll just say it that way, right? I already talked about the fact that we've underbuilt for 15 years. Even if we have a lot of new supply come and 1 million new houses built every year, we're still going to be in a position where we're relatively short on housing supply. This person I ran across on YouTube was given some interesting stats, right? About how all this inventory is coming, so prices are coming down. You can't use a $5 million like beach house in Florida as an example of like, look at it, man. It's been on the market for a year and it's down 700,000. Like this was a property that sold for 1.3 in 2020 and somebody listed for 5.7 in 23. One, they're out of their mind. Two, for you to equate them not selling for a year at 4x what they bought it for just 3 years ago, as an issue with the market, that's an issue with that person's individual brain and a listing agent that is, you know, high enough to think that it's going to sell for 4x what it sold for just 3 years ago. And so, of course, it's sitting on the market. It's got a $700,000 price reduction. Things are still selling 2 weeks faster than they did pre-pandemic. So we still have more demand than we have supply. Has demand waned because rates have gone up? Of course. But we're still in a position where stats like 4.9% more homes listed in December than the same month in 2022. Great stat. We're on our way. We're nowhere close to the same number of homes listed. So we're just slowly but surely working our way towards a market that's, you know, more healthy. Tight housing market, shown recent signs of easing, right? But we're still going to face inventory problems for years to come. I read a Moody's article or Moody's Analytics, right? Like, even if 2024 turns out to be, you know, a year of solid housing construction, which it probably will be. There's a bunch of building going on in a bunch of different parts of the country. The total housing deficit will still be 1 to 5 million to 2 million homes. Like based on their data, the monthly sales pace means that we have about 3 months of housing inventory. And like that number historically is closer to 6 months. If you want buyers to have any sort of leverage or any sort of like time to pick through and say, oh, this house works. Maybe I'll take a look. Maybe I'll take a peek. Maybe I'll write an offer. So those are the headlines from that article, at least. More homes will be built in 2024, but the inventory shortage will persist. And the path to restoring a more balanced housing market is still many, many years away. According to Moody's, this is what they said. Increasing housing inventory and rebalancing the market will take years of joint effort and creativity across the public and private sectors. So what that tells me is this current state of low inventory, lower but still enough demand is going to have, put us in a market that feels somewhat similar to what we saw in 2023. All right. You are very welcome. Love for Puppies. Keep the great questions coming. I appreciate it. Which quarter of 2024 do you think we see the largest drop in mortgage rates? Joey Garessi is going to be the first guesstimate out there. Q3. Oh, yes. This is exactly the conversation I was hoping to walk into. I'll share some data with you offline that might be good for your viewers. Please do, brother. I'm gonna hit you up. Do I still have your phone number? If I don't, find mine. Fire me a message. I'm gonna look up, see if I got Blount in here. I don't. When I like 2018 or 19, I lost about 2,500 contacts. So hit me up with those numbers. I'd love to see what you got in regards to inventory. I'm gonna get back to you, Garessi. Don't worry. I'm gonna give my prediction on when mortgage rates will fall the most in 2024. If rates drop after closing, but before your first mortgage payment is due, why do you have to wait 6 months to do a streamlined FHA refinance? That is because FHA has that seasoning period built in to their loans, and it's actually like 210 days from the note. So from your closing date and 6 payments made. Quite honestly, it should be there for conventional loans as well, so people aren't churning these mortgages every 3 months. My advice or my, response to that would be, if you close in October of 23, and you're like, man, I should be able to refinance. It hasn't been 6 months yet. We're trending downwards. So waiting to get to that 6 month period isn't going to be the worst thing in the world for you. We could build for 10 years straight, humming at full volume, and still wouldn't fill the need. So it's not coming from new housing. Yep. Agreed. Especially with this new kind of gridlock with resale homes where people are just staying put. Thanks for that, Alan. I agree. 1,000%. Joey Garessi, don't forget to like and subscribe, y'all. I haven't done enough of champion for the YouTube channel, but maybe I just got to put out better content. The YouTube channel going strong, 21,000 subs, almost 1,000 videos. I want to put more and more mortgage educational stuff up there. People always want to talk about the market, the current state of the market, which is fun too. So maybe it'll be a mix. Let me know what you guys want to see. I always find the conversations that spur from the videos to be fun. So I'm just trying to add as much value to the quote unquote community as possible, and can give my take based on conversations I'm having every day on whatever you guys want to talk. I got a new number. I'll shoot it to you and your inbox. Cool. All right. About to get all the data. I'll probably make a video on the data you send. They'll be fun. All right. Q3 is love for puppies. Guesstimate as well. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I just saw a stat that said, what was it? Like when you annualize inflation, I don't know if it was like PCE or what number they were looking at. it was like 1.9%, like below the Fed's target. That was Logan Mami. See if I can find what he said. I might not be able to find it. Logan Mami. That's another good follow. If you're not following that guy, you should be. You follow him long enough, you'll learn how to pronounce his last name. Logan, what's he got here? Was it on? Maybe it wasn't on Instagram. Maybe it was somewhere else. Bunch of Niners stuff. He's a NorCal guy, so he's all right. I won't find it. Why does this show up? Does Instagram not show me stuff in order of when it was posted? What in the world is going on? Oh, New Housing Wire Daily. I got to watch that, listen to that. All right, enough getting sidetracked. What time is it? I got work to do, guys. Final questions. A lot of new builds have high HOAs, Melrose, special assessment. Yeah. I mean, depending on where you're at in the country. Oh, yeah. If you check out Housing Wire, Logan Mami is a writer for them. Let me see. If I type in Housing Wire podcast. Yeah. housingwire.com/podcast. Check that out. That's good stuff. They do a good job. Fully support Housing Wire. Joey Garessi. Are those videos still good, you think? Or do I got to make new ones? I appreciate the kind words. I made, it must have been 10 videos for that one rental at a time community. It was part of his course. You know what, man? Like, I'm sure I could go back and look at those if I had unlimited time, right? And make newer versions that were better. Maybe I'll do that sometime in 2024. Because that kind of stuff, like how to read a loan estimate, for sure, somebody saves $1,000 on their mortgage just understanding a little bit better how all that stuff works. And so if I bundled it and sold it for $100, it would be a smoking deal, right? I feel like I used to have it available somewhere. Anyhow, I'm not peddling courses. I'm just here for the people. Appreciate your time. If you're growing as a beginning investor with a middle-class W-2, what advice would you give to structure fixed conventional lending as you scale from 1 to 10? This is a great question, BuzzTune. And I think for beginning investors, knowing what I know, the biggest limiting factor for investors when they're starting out is capital. And so the best way to go about buying your first few properties is buying them owner occupied. Buy your first house well below your means, much less house than you need. And then in 12 months, upgrade that house and turn the first one into a rental property. That way you can put 3%, 3.5%, 5% down on number one. You go buy a new primary, you put 5% down on that one. Ideally, number one might be a 3.5% down duplex, triplex, and you live in one unit and rent the rest. Then you move out and you rent all the units. Then this second one is a single family that's 5% down and it suits your needs for 2 years. But after 2 years, you upgrade and buy another one. If you can strategize and do it that way, that probably helps you more than any other strategy, because what people mistakenly do is they look at their first home as a forever home when it never is. And you get into a payment and you get into a home that wouldn't work well as an investment if you moved out of it. And no doubt you're going to grow out of it, move out of it. So hopefully that helps. More shots out for ORAT. So looking forward to Vegas. I will see you there in Vegas, one rental at a time. 50,000 sub party out there with like just a ton of great speakers. Speaking of which, find me in Vegas. I got to find a way to get some of these out there. It's a special sneak peek. Nobody's seen these but Mr. Zuber. Calculator. Will it zoom in there? One rental at a time plus Matt the Mortgage Guy. Do the work. Calculate returns. Calculate whatever you want to calculate. I thought that was pretty fun. Anyhow, I got to go. I got work to do. I got people to advise. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate you. Leave your comments down below if you're watching this on replay. Thanks for your time. Till next time, we gonna see.